What's up, guys? How are you all doing? Well, time for an update video. Figured today would be a good day to do it, considering it is Veterans Day. That's right. This is a day for all the veterans of the United States Army. Hats off to you guys. I want to say a personal thank you to each and every one of you that are a veteran of our great nation. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. It is absolutely amazing that we have people like you guys that will go fight for the rest of us, and I do thank you more than anything. So thank you, veterans of all branches of the military, veterans of foreign war, all the veterans, anyone, if you're a part of the military, my thanks goes to you. So thank you very much for what you have done and for what you continue to do, all veterans of the United States. Thank you. With that, we're going to be going through some pretty cool stuff. I've been cleaning up my station here. I know I've put out a slew of videos here recently, and been trying to get caught up with everything. Everything's getting crazy since we got holidays coming and whatnot. It's going to be interesting. I did do, obviously you guys have seen the Link It One. Okay, we've been working on that, a couple of videos. Had one person say that it was a little out of their price range, which, yeah, it is fairly pricey for the Link It One kit. I was sent it, so I figured I'd review it and play with it. It is pretty powerful for what all it has on it. I'll talk about it here for just a second. The Link It One has GPS, has GSM, so it'll take a SIM card. It also has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So it has four, guess you would call it wireless type guys on it, chips on it. Those let alone, or I think there's at least the Bluetooth one I know is like somewhere around 30 bucks. Even if you buy just the chip, it's like 30 bucks. It's like 20, 30 bucks. So yeah, you can see where they get the price point for it. So yeah, if it's in your price range, great. If it's not, there's a multitude of other products out there. In fact, I even showed you guys a lot of where you can just do it yourself. I even think in some situations the Raspberry Pi is overkill. The Arduino is overkill. It depends on your application. It depends on what you're wanting to do. If you're wanting to do something that involves Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and GSM and GPS and everything, well then, this is a great little all-in-one kit. I mean, it has everything in it. Simplistic to use. It's the Arduino, background is what it is, and it's very simple to use. So now I am not by any way being sponsored or anything else to where I'm having to say this. No, that's just my personal opinion. I think that it's a good little device for what it is. Now, depending on your application, no, I would not recommend this. If all you want to do is blink an LED, if all you want to do is like blink an LED at certain moments or something like that, or you want to set up a motion sensor and when someone walks by it, it turns a light on or something, no, I would say probably not. A lot of people would probably say that this thing is great for that sort of situation because it comes with a battery. Well, I mean, you can buy a lithium-ion battery and then, mount the charging stuff yourself. In fact, well, I don't have it sitting over there, but in fact, I think it's Adafruit and SparkFun and all those different places make charging boards that already have the switch mode charger on there, has a charging chip, a lithium-ion charging chip, that will look for the settling voltages and all that jazz and everything, so where it makes sure it charges it properly, doesn't overcharge it and all that stuff, and has, over voltage protection and things like that, already on a chip that you can buy for, and they're usually pretty cheap. I think they're like $5 or something. I don't know. They're fairly inexpensive. You can buy that and throw that in with a PIC Micro. Have a PIC Micro, solder that to a board, throw that little charger power circuit deal from either SparkFun or Adafruit or whoever, or build one yourself. It doesn't matter. And I bet you for, $5 or $6, you can do the exact same thing. So you do not need to spend $100 on something, or even even $30 on an Arduino. You really don't have to spend that kind of money. In fact, a PIC microcontroller is like $1.50 or $1.80 or something like that, depending on how powerful it is. You can buy now. this is a kit, but just for instance, you can get, you know, an ARM processor. You can get an ARM core processor for like 50 cents, or some of them, even the real low end ones, are only like I think they're like, what, 30 cents or something like that. They're cheap, and I believe they don't make anything lower than now correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they don't make anything lower than 32-bit. I think, well, maybe they make some 16-bit ones. I don't remember, but I know they don't make 8-bit microcontrollers. They make at least 16. All the ones I've seen have been 32. Even the, I guess you'd call it low-end ones, are 32-bit. So pick up an ARM, and especially pick up this little guy, this Discovery board, the ST Microelectronics Discovery. It's the STM32F0 Discovery. I mean, I have a video on this too. I need to make more videos about this, so I'm sorry for all of you ARM fans out there. I need to bust this back out and get going on it. But, you know, pick that board up. That board's like $7. It's super cheap. And the great thing about that board, it's a programmer too. Like, you can actually plug it into any ARM microcontroller. You just pull a jumper off of it so it doesn't program the onboard chip. And then it has a, almost like a JTAG header. I don't even know, what kind of header does this thing have? Yeah, I don't know. Well, anyway, it's got, yeah, you pull the little jumper out that disconnects it from the onboard ARM microcontroller. And then, yeah, it's just got a little thing, header pins right here. SWD. Well, anyway, it's got some header pins. I'd have to pull out the manual or whatever to see how it hooks up. But basically, you hook that up to a micro and program it right from that. So you've got a programmer and a dev kit for only $7. So, I mean, ARM's the way to go. If you want to go super cheap and yet still have power, I would say totally go with ARM. PIC micros are just, I believe that they're very simplistic to deal with. The data sheets are, to me, fairly easy to read and things like that. And I'm not doing anything that requires any, real horsepower to it, where I need the full 32-bit, processor. So, you can go that route. I mean, there's a million ways to skin a cat, essentially, in microelectronics. And so that's where, I really enjoy showing you guys all these different things. Now, am I saying that you have to use these certain things? No, heck no. In fact, the Intel Edison is a pretty cool little guy, except the only problem I have with it is that, you have this, whatever it is, you have this great big honker board, that you develop on. Now, one thing that's great is I have seen, oops, I'm dropping my microphone stuff and whatnot. Let's make sure I don't get tangled. I need to get a wireless mic, and then I won't get tangled up in the cord. Anyway, but with this thing, really the thing that makes the Intel Edison so great is the fact that the Edison is this big. It's itty bitty. But yet, the problem is, if I have to snap it into this big honker board, well, I just went from itty bitty to gigantic. Well, that's because this really is meant for a development environment. This is really a dev kit, is what this is. It's got buttons on it. It's got the thing for an SD card. It's got all your different hookups for power and everything else. This is really a dev board for this. If you're going to really use this in an application, I would suggest you have to use the Hirose connector and, connect it up in your custom application. You don't have to use this board. Now, everybody does, because obviously all the traces are laid down, level shifters, everything's all put together. The Arduino headers are there. You can put all your shields and everything on it. You can do everything with it. But honestly, do you have to? No, you don't have to. You don't have to if you don't want to. That's what makes it so great. So I'm just showing you guys all of these different little dev kits because they are actually pretty cool depending on your application. So by any means, I'm not sitting here telling you guys you need to go out and buy this right now to use in your project. No. If it suits your application, then go get it. It's a pretty cool little deal, like the Linkit One or the Edison or the Arduino or the Raspberry Pi. But like I said, if all you're wanting to do is maybe just do some simple sensing and send an email or send a text message or something like that, you may not need a full-blown Raspberry Pi that has, video and sound and all this. Well, you're not using video and you're not using sound, so you don't need that. So it's useless or it's pointless to spend, $30-40 on something when you're only going to use like 10% of its functionality. So, that's, just think about that whenever you're purchasing these different kits. And also you're paying for the simplicity. if you're going to custom build something, it's going to be a little bit more complicated just because you're custom building it. So in any case, well, I digress. Sorry, that was almost like a rant. But anyway, got some cool stuff coming up though. We got some more Link It One things that we're going to be doing. A couple more different deals that we'll do with that. Oh, new t-shirts. We got new t-shirts out on the Zazzle store. There's a link in the description. Go check those out. I got a couple of new ones. I find them humorous, so hopefully you guys do. It's a great way to support the channel. Like I always say though, don't feel like I'm just supplementing. I'm doing other things to support the channel so we can keep getting different dev kits and different supplies and things like that so we can keep going. That's really all. I don't keep a dime of what I make out of all of this stuff. I just put it right back into the channel. I take it, I buy more equipment, more lights, maybe better cameras. In fact, I'm getting ready. I'm wanting to purchase a Hero 3, I believe is what it is. GoPro. I'd like to get a GoPro for 3D printing stuff. Since the GoPro has a very slick interface, a very easy way to go through the, I want to say stop motion animation. That's not what it is. It's the time lapse. There we go. Hey, my brain's working. So time lapse it, and that way I can do time lapses, and you can see, so you don't sit there, you know, and I don't have to record, you know, 13 hours of video and then try to speed it up so you guys can watch it actually print. That's the reason we haven't done a whole lot of printing videos. That leads me into my next thing. I'm going to try to get more printing videos out, but I really would like to buy that camera first, but I just don't have enough funds. I just went through buying a whole new set of supplies and other things, solder materials and things like that, and other devices and pieces. Plus, I bought an upgrade kit to the printer so that I can now print all different types of materials. Before, I didn't have a heated bed, so I could only print PLA, more or less. I mean, I could try to print ABS with that, but the warpage and warping that goes on, I mean, I could take probably my heat gun and heat up the bed and then start printing with it. That way the first layer that goes down is the bed's warm and it'll stick and not warp. But you know, it's just a hassle. It works better if you have the heated bed attachment. So I went ahead and bought the heated bed for that because I'm gearing up. I want to do more 3D printing videos. In fact, that's what I'm going to spend today doing. I have the day off today. Woo! That never happens. So I'm going to try to get the printer all set up, get it calibrated, get it all ready to rock, and then we'll start printing some cool stuff. In fact, here, let's look at some of the cool stuff I've been printing. Now, this is just with PLA, but my sister is huge into Star Wars, as am I, as I'm sure lots of you are. And I don't know, tell me what you think in the comments. Are you ready for the hype? Are you believing the hype for the new movie? I don't know. I'm kind of scared to. I'm starting to. I really like it. I really like what I'm seeing in the previews, but I'm still nervous after what happened to the 1, 2, and 3. You know, well, I guess we can't get any worse. Well, anyway, I digress. Excuse me. I've been getting over a cold. What I've been doing is I've been 3D printing the Solo blaster. My sister wants to dress up and everything to go to the midnight opening of it, and so she was going to go as basically like a Han Solo, like a girl version of Han Solo. So she wanted the blaster. Well, she was looking online and they were just too expensive for her to buy replica ones and things like that, and so I told her, well, I got a 3D printer, might as well 3D print one or see if I can find something on Thingiverse or My Mini Factory or something like that. And I did. I found one, and I've been printing it. Here's the muzzle of it. It came out quite nice. It's still got some lines and stuff. I haven't cleaned it up yet, and got some little dots on it and whatnot from where it goes around. You know, it starts and then it finishes. When it goes around, it sometimes can create little dots. I need to mess with the settings on the extruder. But anyway, I think that came out pretty darn nice. I mean, it's the little nozzle, and then the upper portion of it I've printed. I had to print it in 2 pieces actually, just because orientation wise and whatnot. Now maybe I need to play with more settings on the printer, but I mean, yeah, it's all discovery. So what I did was I actually cut it in half and printed it in halves. So here it is, basically together, the upper portion of the blaster. Pew, 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 pew. But I actually printed it in 2 pieces, and then I'm going to sand it and then glue them together is what I'm going to do. And for those of you that don't know, you can Google this and probably find out, but let me show it to you. The best glue for bonding PLA. Now, whatever it is going to almost turn into a 3D printing thing. When you do ABS plastic, you can do what's called an acetone weld. You just get acetone, okay, from your local hardware store. Definitely will have it. Paint stores, any place that sells paint will have acetone. In fact, that's where I got this one from. We have a Sherwin-Williams paint store in town, and they have acetone. And you can take acetone and wipe an ABS part with it. It'll actually start to eat it, and you can actually glue it together. In fact, some people even do the ABS slurry, where they take a little bit of ABS filament and put it into like a bowl, pour some acetone on it, and mix it out to where it turns into kind of a goopy slurry, and then they put that on, and then that'll bond everything together, okay? So you can do that. The best glue is Loctite Ultra Gel Control. I don't know if that's going to focus. Let's see if it'll focus on it. You can see it. Anyway, Ultra Gel Control. This is the stuff. The Ultra Gel Control is nice because it's gel based, so it's kind of goopy, so it doesn't just run everywhere when you're trying to squeeze it out. It doesn't just squirt all over the place. It'll come out in kind of a nice bead, and you can put that around. So what I'll end up doing is probably running this around all the edges on this, and then sticking it together. Once I make sure that this little mating connector that's on the bottom here, that mates up with the lower receiver for it. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Keep coughing. Once I make sure that that's the right width and everything, I may need to sand it because the PLA still warps a little bit, and it's just enough that it can cause problems. So you have to kind of sand stuff and whatnot. But in any case, once we put it together, it'll be like, pew, 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 pew. It's gonna be really cool when it's all over with. So I'm excited about that. So the printer is working great. Like I said, I put the printer's actually right here. It's literally right next to the camera. The space is not that big. But anyway, we got the heated bed thing put on it. So now we can print all different types of material. And I want to order a bunch of different types of material. Like I'm going to probably order some ABS, definitely. I'm going to order some, probably that wood fiber, because that stuff looks interesting, as well as probably the bronze filler, which is bronze impregnated plastic. I'm also going to look at the nylons, the PET plastic. We'll do a bunch of different kinds of plastics just to see strength and how they print, and if one prints at a better resolution than the other and things like that. So we're going to be getting some 3D printing videos coming up soon once I get the 3D printer all calibrated. And that's another thing. It's a misnomer about 3D printers. If you're thinking about getting into 3D printing, know that there's a lot of tweaking. Probably depending on the printer, I'm sure. Depending on, mine is a lower cost printer. However, I will say, at least I believe at the time when I bought it, I don't know about now, but at the time when I bought it, it was the biggest one. This one's that's not a Delta printer. This one's just a normal XYZ square printer. It's not one of the Deltas, that has the 3 arms and moves around like that. It's not one of those. Now those can print really tall stuff, but this guy was a 10 by 10 by 10. So he was the biggest one when I bought him, and he was also one of the cheaper ones that I got. Now, like anything, you get what you pay for. The cheaper it is, the more calibration, the more tweaking, the more playing around, maybe customizing you're going to have to do to it. So anyway, that's one thing that we're going to be diving into. So hopefully, because I don't know, I'm a pretty layman's term kind of guy, and I don't really get super deep into something really complicated. Usually I like the KISS principle. And those of you who don't know what KISS principle is, KISS, keep it simple, stupid. So the KISS principle is always the best. Simple, straightforward. So what I'm going to try to do with my series of videos on 3D printing that I'm going to be coming out with hopefully soon is I'm going to show you guys what not to do, and what hopefully I can save you guys if you end up buying one of these printers or any other printer, desktop 3D printer, that you know, there's some little things I can show you to look for and watch out for. Like, you see if this is doing this, see this is looking weird, well then you need to tweak this setting, or you need to tweak that, or you need to, you know, it's moving too fast, or it's not moving fast enough, or yada, 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 yada. Because I haven't really seen anybody go through that thoroughly yet. Now, I don't know, there's probably, YouTube is a big place, so there's probably a video out there that's about it. But hopefully I can add to that array of videos, and I can help you guys figure out, you know, some stuff so you guys don't have to make the mistakes I did and ruin a bunch of prints or your 3D printer, which I have rammed the extruder into the bed multiple times. I am not proud of that, but I have, and it happens. I mean, it does happen. I've seen other people do it too, so it does happen. You just got to be careful and, you know, take your time. I guess that's the best piece of advice I can give you is do not get in a hurry. These things are not meant to spit out parts in a couple of minutes. I mean, depending on how big the part is, you might be able to spit it out in a couple of minutes. But really, I mean, they're designed to take their time, especially if you want a good, high-grade, high-quality print. You're gonna invest some time into it. Okay. So in any case, I digress. So that's like my new favorite word. We also are going to be getting into probably, yeah, some more Link at One stuff, maybe some more Intel Edison things. I've got some ideas there. We also might be getting into, I was thinking about, you know, the Bitcoin thing, Bitcoin mining and all that jazz and everything like that. And I got to thinking about, wouldn't it be fun to have a self-generated Bitcoin miner? Because that's the big key thing. Everybody always looks at, you know, Bitcoin mining because you have to look, and everybody looks at, well, it may not pay off because it uses power. And if you really want to get a Bitcoin miner that's really gonna generate money, real money, you know, it's not just gonna kind of find a coin here and there, or find, you know, pieces of a coin here and there, and yada yada. You make, you know, a couple bucks every 6 months or something like that. If you're really wanting to actually do it, you need to look at what you're paying for electricity, and you need to get something that's up in pretty much the terahash. You know, I mean, you can get the 400 or 500 gigahash ones, and you know they'll do all right. But really, if you're wanting to really make it worthwhile, you need something that's in terahash. And so to do that, you need it's like 1200 watts or 1500 watts or something like that. I mean, it's a lot of power. Well, depending on where you are, your power may not be very cheap. And so it's going to be really expensive to get into the Bitcoin thing, and it may not even be profitable. The money that you'd make Bitcoin wise would not even be anywhere close to the money you're paying in electricity. So what I came up with was, I've got some parts and pieces laying around and whatnot, and I've got a few DC motors laying around, fairly decent sized ones. I even have one that's a 1 horsepower DC motor that's laying around in the garage. Well, those of you that know power, 1 horsepower is about 741-ish, or 741 watts is the conversion, horsepower to watts. Now, obviously, we're going to lose some. It's going to be lossy. You're going to lose some or whatever. So you'll lose, you know, I don't know, probably 20% or something off the top or something like that. So we can calculate it probably around 580 watts, maybe, roughly, something like that. Well, honestly, if you look online, that would run one of the 400 gigahash ant miners that's out there. So, you know, I got to thinking, wouldn't that be cool to have your own self-generated, because, you know, a DC motor is a generator, because they have permanent magnets in it. So you can put power into the rotor through the brushes and it'll spin, or you can put a prime mover on it of some sort, you know, crank, whatever, and spin it inside that magnetic field, and through the brushes going the other way, it'll generate electricity, okay? Because a DC machine that's a permanent magnet machine is a generator and a motor, both, depending on whether you're putting power into it or you're taking power out of it, one of the two. So, what I was thinking of doing is creating some sort of a wind generator. Oh, that could be cool. And because, I don't know, where I'm from, I'm in Kansas, and it is windy. In fact, today I'm looking outside, I can see through my back door here, and yeah, the wind is just raging outside. So, for that, I went ahead and picked up a couple of toys. I picked up a wind meter. This was a fantastic buy. This little guy was on Amazon. If you want, leave me some comments if you want to know what this stuff was, and I'll put some links in the description for these if you want to know. This little guy was very inexpensive. It's actually pretty darn accurate, believe it or not. But it's a wind speed indicator. The wind blows through it and spins that little guy and that little fan that's in there, and it measures the wind speed and works great. I also got one of these little guys. These little dudes. This is basically a tachometer, is what it is. It'll basically tell you, so you can do that, and it shoots out a laser beam. I don't know if you can see that. See that? And what you do is you take a strip. Those of you who haven't ever used one of these, you have this reflective tape. Okay, you just tear a piece of this off and put it on some spinning rotor or whatever, and then you shine the little laser beam at it. And how it works is, I don't know if you can see inside there, how it works, ooh, that's bright, is inside there, it takes in, the laser beam will go, it'll hit that reflective tape and be reflected back into it, and then it reads it. And it'll basically, it's basically blinking at it. Every time that reflective tape rolls around, it reflects the laser back into it, and it'll calculate the RPM. Pretty cool. It's a pretty cool little tool. So I got a couple of these so we can calculate tip speed, and I'll explain what all this stuff is and everything when you're doing when we're doing it. But I think it would be fun to take one of those motors and make a wind generator out of it. I think that would be kind of neat since it's very windy out here. And like I said, you're gonna calculate tip speed ratio, or I think TSR, yeah, tip speed ratio, because what you want to do is based on how many blades it's on your wind generator. You don't want, as the wind's blowing through it, you don't want, when a blade cuts through it, it'll basically make the wind turbulent. The wind will be kind of, coming out the back of it. Well, you want to make sure that you don't have too many blades, or your blades are too long, or that you're spinning at the right RPMs versus, how many blades you have and things like that. Because basically if you have too many blades, then the next blade will actually be going through turbulent wind, and it won't actually take any energy out of it. In fact, it'll actually probably slow down your fan blade, is what will actually happen, because the wind is actually turbulent in there. It's kind of going everywhere. It's not really catching and pushing the blade correctly to where the blade will take the energy out of the air and convert it to mechanical energy. So anyway, those tools will help us calculate all that. Because we'll be able to measure it when we put it out. We'll be able to measure the wind speed, we'll be able to measure the speed of the rotor as it's spinning, and we'll be able to calculate the tip speed of the blades and look at the tip speed ratio and see if we can get a blade design that'll work for us and things like that. So it ought to be pretty darn cool. I feel like that's a great project. But again, bought all the tools and everything. It's going to be a while out because I got to wait for more funds to come in. So in any case, so feel free, if you want to support the channel, to buy a t-shirt. They're on Zazzle.com/misperry, I believe. I'll put a link in the description. That helps. You can donate Bitcoins if you want to, since a lot of things are going Bitcoin anymore. It's working great. You can donate Bitcoins. That'll be at the end of the video. Will be the little QR code, as well as down in the description. But honestly, if you don't feel like any of that, which is totally fine, I'm not sitting here begging for money. It's not a problem. But if you want, just give me a thumbs up, give me a like, comment, all that jazz, because that helps out. Because I do the monetization thing through Google. So if you want to help out and not actually have to give actual monetary value, you can just thumbs it up, and that helps me too. You can thumbs it up and share it as much as you can. That helps the channel a lot. So I sure thank you all. In fact, we're even coming up on it. We might have already cracked it. I don't know. I'd have to look. We're coming up on 5,000 subscribers. And that is absolutely amazing to me. Thank you guys so much for the support. I can't believe that this has gotten as big as it is. Now, I mean, I'm not no, PewDiePie or something like that that's got, 5 million subscribers or something like that, or Epic Rap Battles or something like that. But I'm just blown away that I've got as many of you as I have that like the content and enjoy watching and that give me feedback. I love your comments. I love talking to each and every one of you. I'm sorry if it takes me a while to get back to you, but Now with about 5,000 subscribers, I'm getting a lot of comments constantly, so I have to sift through them all, and so I kind of almost have to set aside time to sit down and go through all the comments, because some of you guys ask some pretty intense questions, you know, some questions that I may have to go kind of do a little bit of research and see or remember. I mean, and sometimes I even try it out, because I really don't want to mislead you guys by, you know, giving you an answer, so I try my best to, if I really don't know, I'll try to test it. Like if it's a Raspberry Pi thing, somebody's asking me about something, I'll dig out one of my Raspberry Pis and fire it up. Maybe put your code on it. I know a couple of you, I've asked you for your code. That's so I can put it on my Raspberry Pi, see why it's not working, and maybe debug it, you know, and help you with it. So now I'm not going to do that constantly. I probably not going to be doing less and less of that, because there's so many people commenting that I can't, you know, sit down and be tech support for everyone. But I can at least, what I will try to do is I'll try to point you in the right direction. I'll try to, you know, if I can find some links or find maybe someone else that has done it or something like that, I'll try to point you in the right direction. But those of you, I've had a few people that call me up and or not call me up, but, you know, send me a message or whatever and want me to basically design this entire system for them. I don't have time for that. There's multiple people that do that. And if I started doing that, you know, it would consume all my time, and my time is short the way it is. I definitely help you out if you have questions, or you have, you know, a simple, you know, well, I wouldn't say, you know, not necessarily limit to simple things, but just say, you know, I mean, if you're like, hey, I can't get, you know, I don't know, a text message to send using the fauna, you know, what did you do? And I can ask you a couple questions. Well, did you do this? Did you do this? Well, no, and hopefully point you in the right direction. That's kind of where I'm going to go with that. So, and plus that's the thing. You don't want somebody else to design it for you, right? Because then people will be like, how does this work? I don't know. I had a guy on YouTube design it for me. No, it's fun that you know how to do it, and that's kind of the whole point of my channels. I want to teach you guys how to do this stuff. So anyway, all right. Well, I probably rambled way long enough. I need to get this out because it is Veterans Day, and I mean, what time is it? Yeah, we're still fairly early. Anyway. Give me time to edit it and whatnot, because I'm sure there's some rambling portions that we can do without. So guys, thank you very much. Thank you to all United States veterans of all the different branches of the military, Air Force, Navy, Marines, everyone. Thank you so much for your patronage. Thank you so much for your sacrifice for this country, so that people like me can come on camera like this and talk to you guys. We have a free nation where there's companies like Google and that, you know, YouTube and all that stuff. We can do all this stuff because of you guys. So honestly, the hats off is to the United States military for providing us the ability to live in the country that we live in and be able to do the things that we do to benefit others. Because guys, let me tell you, that's what it's all about. It's not about me, and it's not about individual. It's about everybody else. It's about others. You do for others. And when you do for others, it'll make you feel good, and it helps other people out. And that is really what it's all about. So thanks again, guys. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button if you like what you see. Check out the t-shirts on Zazzle. Check me out on Twitter and Instructables, because I post stuff there too. And guys, I think that's probably about it. So like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Take care, guys. We'll see you next time. And that ought to do it.